Just 1 second, I forgot to turn my other light off. For some reason, I'm a little nervous tonight just because I'm streaming on multiple platforms, trying to make sure everything's working. Spent most of today trying to figure out how to run the software, so that was fun. Anyway, I am Abe with MysticGenMara.com, and if you are new here, trying to turn this light, get this light more adjusted. I do metaphysical and spiritual topics of a variety of styles. Across the board. I don't have one specific thing that I've ever researched or studied because I get into something, I learn what I can from it. When I feel like I stop learning, I move to something different. So, I have a website, you can check it out. It has different orgone type materials and a couple of services that I offer on there, and if you haven't went through and just check out what I've got going on with the channel already, there is actually a lot of different introductory topics. There's a few meditations on there, and I'm going to be trying to bring more of that forward in the coming month especially. So with December, this kind of bumped up my learning to stream part of it on these platforms, which is YouTube and Odyssey. What my goal was and is is to go every single day, do either a video, a live stream, something active on these two platforms every single day. And so that's why we're doing this tonight, and this is my experiment stream to see how things work. Like I said, I'm new to using some of these platforms right now. I'm using Streamlabs, and they do have really good help as far as their tech support. I can literally hop in there and be like, I'm boomerang this, what do I do differently? And the person I was talking to today was actually helping me figure out what all these terms meant, which was nice. So, I don't have anything really planned. It's literally just trying to see how this goes for me as far as the live stream and getting my tech backwardsness fixed. So, what I was thinking about doing is maybe going over some of my newer products that I have on my website, and then discussing, at least for the American side of things, the United States side of things I should say, going over a few of why we have some of the rights we do. This is not going to be a political channel, although if it's something that involves religion or spirituality, it may be focused on, brought up. However, mainly because that applies to a lot of us in the alternative religious community or alternative spiritual community especially. Just because we're not going to a standardized church doesn't mean that we aren't affected by some of the things that go on. So, first of all, we'll just go over, like I said, introducing some of my newer products. Hopefully this lighting is good. If not, we'll see if we can adjust it. But this little guy here is one of my brand new obelisks, and it is a chakra obelisk, and each layer has a stone color associated with the chakras, the primary 7 chakras on the body. And with that little guy there, it's I worked with my angelic guides because different chakras work with different angels, and so I've went through and I have worked with and had them attune each of those color layers and stones with healing as well. So you get the concept of the orgone, which was developed by a gentleman in the 1930s and 40s by the name of Wilhelm Reich, and he started an interesting platform, and I've done a video on this already, so this will be the short version of it. But he just developed a way to bring forward and enhance the orgone energy, which in more Eastern terms would be prana or chi. It's basically the bioenergy of your body. And over the years, the Department of I just lost the name of it. Anyway, The FDA, there we go. They decided that they didn't like what he was doing because he was having really good results without any of their products. So they figured out a way to try to destroy him, basically. The funny part about it is some of his students got away with some of his work and were able to replicate, not on the scale he was because they were being monitored, but they were able to replicate his work, and over the years it's spread to a wide variety of different people, have their own styles, their own practices with it. For me, I like to work with stuff that's closer to home. So I try to locally source my stones from local rock hounders and miners and things like that. So a lot of my stuff is their scrap, but it works for what I do. So so the chakra one, almost all of the stones in there actually come from Idaho. We're the gem state. We have, depending on who you talk to, 62 to 72 different precious and semi-precious gemstones here. Not sure why my color is washed. There, that's a little bit better. And so we have a wide variety of different stones and crystals to work with here. The other item that I was going to talk about today, because it's one of my newer ones, is this little guy here. It is you can put your business cards in it, but it also, there's little rubber feet that I've put in here. And so if you are the type of person like me who tends to lose their phone, if you're not attached to it, you can set your phone directly inside there as well. The nice thing about orgone in a lot of cases, now I do have a couple of them that have hematite in them, which is slightly magnetic under its own energy, so you don't want that near your electronics. But the rest of these devices are actually safe to have around your electronic devices. The other thing when you're talking about the orgone is his idea when he first developed it was to find a way to counter the negative effects of radio waves. Well, that was back in the 1930s and 40s. We have way more energy around us pulsing through our bodies from background radiation today, and so there are people that will work with these and have developed over the years. This is not something that just one or two people worked on and brought forward. This is something that's been going on in the alternative community for a lot of years, and they figured out that different stones like shungite and black tourmaline are really good about neutralizing the electromagnetic frequencies, which is like radio, microwave, Wi-Fi, all that fun stuff. And so you have all of that going, and then you've got these that are neutralizing that energy, the negative energy. Willem's idea, Reich's idea, was that there's two different kinds of orgone. You have positive, and then they would call it quote-unquote deadly orgone. And what it was the positive is when you're out amongst the trees, you're breathing fresh air, you're putting your feet in the creek. Those are all ways to generate the positive energy within your body. The negative could affect you and trigger all sorts of interesting health issues over time. And that was his belief. Well, today, we also are starting to understand more about crystals, crystal therapy, and the vibrations that affect the human body, because we all know, well, let's put it this way. The research is showing that in today's world, our physical bodies are more vibration than they are solid. There's less of us than we realize, and it doesn't matter how big or small you are. There's really not much there when you break it down to the atomic level, but then you go beyond the atomic, literally to the energetic level, and you're a wave, you're a form. Well, if that's the case, then all of this stuff that we're bombarding ourselves with is actually could be affecting us negatively. And the way I look at it is, it doesn't matter if you think it's medicinal or not, because like I said, I can't claim that. I'm not a doctor, I don't have any medical training in that respect. I look at things from will this help, even if it's only a placebo effect? And the way I look at a lot of these, in particular, especially the orgones, is, you know what? You've got the energy vibration of the crystals, you've got the orgone, of course it's going to be beneficial on some level. So that's the reason that I have started really producing and working with them a lot more over the last couple of years. And that's what's led me to being where I'm at right now, sitting and talking to you guys. Just double checking, because like I said, I'm new to this whole multi-streaming thing, and I've got one chat window, but it's just me being weird. So the other thing going along with that is this is the holiday season, and I've made a vlog about this, and I've talked about this with a lot of people in my personal life as well. It is the holiday season. There's a lot of small businesses out there that this is where they really truly make their bills for the next few months. Especially, it's cold, it's miserable outside, people don't want to go to the art markets and the art fairs, and a lot of the vendors don't want to travel, especially when we start getting January, February in the northern areas, because it's so cold, it's so slippery, roads close, especially like I'm in Idaho, and we have several places that will close for 4 and 5 days because of snow or whatever happens. So just as a little heads up, if you're looking through your paper, you see it on Facebook, you see it on Twitter, you see it on whatever your social media of choice is, and that includes your local newspaper. If you see farmers markets, if you see artist markets, if you see something like that you're looking for that Christmas present, you're looking for that something different, something unique, something special, and you see one of those markets, go check it out. You might be surprised what you'll find. A lot of the artists, and look for the ones that actually make a lot of their stuff. There's some people who will buy and sell, and that's fine. You do you. But in my mind, and in the way I look at life, is you go to those things to support the local artists. You go to support the local farmers, the ranchers, the people who are making their products to be brought out and show you. People don't realize how much time it takes. One of these, because of the number of pours I have to do, and I use an American resin that I prefer, and one of those will take me up to 10 to 15 days, depending on temperature and all the rest of that stuff, to pour just the one. So that puts a lot of time out of my life. And the average Afghan, if you're looking at like full-size blankets for adults, there's hundreds of hours of time into that. And so, like I said, for me personally, if you have those last-minute gifts you need to track down, find your local markets, the artist markets, the bazaars, all that kind of stuff, and go check those out. You might be surprised the interesting little goodies you might find there. And you're helping out a small business. It's like, and you're helping your community. That's the other part. So it's all about, keeping stuff a little bit more local and not always big boxing everything. Trust me, I get it. I big box shop myself, but there's times when it's more personal when you can find it at a smaller location. So that little rant is over. In the United States, and this is something that goes worldwide, everyone knows about some form of constitution in their country. Ours is interesting because when you read through it and then you start comparing it to the Federalist Papers, and if you're in the United States, I highly recommend picking up a physical copy of the Constitution. This one is cool because it has the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, and the Articles of Confederation. And while you're picking that up, pick up a copy of this. This defines this. And it's just a good way for the Federalist Papers are a good way to understand what was the arguments behind why we have what we have. And there's even a section in the back that makes me laugh a little bit, because the author of this last chapter, and I can't remember if it was Hamilton or Madison, basically threw a fit and argued against having a Bill of Rights. And his logic actually makes sense to me, because in his mind, the Constitution was established to keep the powers reined in. Meaning that if it's not written down in here, it's not an option. The federal government doesn't have it. They don't have that power. They don't have the ability. Why are we putting in a Bill of Rights? Because all that's doing is defining down and, in his mind, watering down the absolute liberties that the American public at the time were guaranteed. Well, there's some points to that, but there's also something that's, to me, I like a little bit more the definition that went along with the Bill of Rights, which is the first 10 amendments. And since this is a primarily spiritual channel, that's where I'm going to try to keep my attention. The First Amendment is, to me, the one that I think more people need to pay attention to. It's the freedom of religion, press, and expression. And it was ratified in December 15th. Oh, that's interesting. I should have waited a couple days. 1791. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or the press or the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Very short, but there's a lot of information in that one little sentence. It's a run-on sentence. Don't come after me, English teachers. The point is, the government can't tell you how to practice your religion, and the government can't make laws restricting or establishing a state religion. To me, that is hugely important, because if you don't follow one of the mainstream religions, I tend to go after the Catholics a little bit, just because they're one of the oldest. They are the oldest Christian religion. And I put that in quotes because there are groups of people who claim that Catholics aren't Christian. I'm not going there. I go after that because there is historical precedence for my reasons to not be happy with them. In Europe, for a very long period of time, there was an established government-based religion. And that was what the founders of this country were absolutely against. They didn't want that nonsense of the government saying when to worship, who to worship, how to worship, taxing anything that you donated, all of that stuff. So they purposely set it up so that that would be exempted from governmental power. The First Amendment further defines it. And when you start to look at that, they said religion because at the time you had a limited group of people. They'd already been through, because this was in 1791, so you'd already been through the Salem witch trials, and you've been through the Dark Ages in Europe, and you've been through a lot of this stuff that, I just lost the name, Vincent Price had a good movie about this, Witch Hunter General. They went through all of this time already, and when they came here, they were like, enough, as long as you're not hurting someone else, you do you. And that's the basis of the religious freedoms we have, is you can practice your religion any way that you want. You can practice your spirituality, if you want to use that term. As long as you're not harming somebody else, fine. And when I say harm, I'm not talking about words. That is a ridiculous argument to me. It's the physical harm. So don't go hurt somebody else in a physical sense, or do something weird. And you can practice your religion however you want. That's the part to me that's so important, because in today's world we take it for granted, and I don't think people realize how much of a blessing that is. It's loosened up a lot of different places around the world. There's still places in the world where if you do not ascribe to the state religion, you can be deleted, using a term I've heard recently on YouTube. That's the important part, is when you're in some of these more Western worlds, there is a greater freedom. And spirituality goes a broad range. It's not just, are you Wiccan? Are you a Druid? Are you Rosicrucian? Are you any of the Hindu religious sects? There's 100 of them. And I'm not saying that to be derogatory. They've got some beautiful groups in there. But my point is, you have a greater freedom now than you ever have. So whichever one of those you choose to practice, that's up to you, and as long as you're not harming somebody else, how you practice it is up to you as well. And that ties into when we start working with the energy fields, we start working with any form of divination. Those are all spiritual practices. And there are people out there, even today, and there's one very prominent one who has flipped 180 degrees from where she originally was traveling, and she had an experience that made her shift. And that's up to her. Oh, it's my background lights. That's what's shifting. Okay, anyway. When she had that experience, she really did cut herself off from all forms of spirituality, and now she is a hyper-religious person. And when you listen to some of the things that she has said here recently, she's the type of person that makes me very much more clingy to the Constitution in this country, because she makes comments that would lead you to believe. Now, she's not said anything outright that I've heard yet. I don't listen to everything she does because I don't care. But some of the interviews that I have watched with her, she has the opinion that alternative spiritual practices should be banned. Excuse me? You don't get to tell me how to believe, lady. Get off me. And when I say alternatives, I'm talking about things that are older than Christianity by thousands of years. Reiki, acupressure, acupuncture, qigong healing, all of this type of stuff in her mind is evil. Okay, that's special. So there is something to be said for defining out that part of the Constitution. Our freedoms to practice our spirituality and to express ourselves. And that's peacefully. Again, if you start getting into the more physical interactions, you're stepping away from a peaceful expression. You're stepping away from being able to practice in a way that is acceptable to you. That kind of stuff, even amongst alternative religious groups, is not really accepted. It's not necessary. Like, don't do that. The ancient horror films, like that movie The Witch that came out a few years ago, it's a very slow, psychological, slow boil horror film. But that kind of stuff, first of all, was so rare that it was almost unknown for in the time, even going back thousands of years. But the other part about it is it was very, very small groups in very, very selected areas that weren't really associated with. It was always those weirdos over there doing that kind of stuff. And if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen the movie, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to yeet my channel over that. But there's certain things that you weren't supposed to do in today's culture, and that's where I say, as long as you practice your religion and you're not hurting other people, do you. And I'm talking physically. Because the freedom of expression and freedom of speech applies across the board. If you don't like something I say, that's not my problem. That's your problem. And when you're on a platform like these, you have to be a little more restrained because the platforms are not public domain. So there are some limits put on us by corporations, but that's why I also have YouTube and Odyssey. Odyssey's way more relaxed about what you can say, and so is Rumble. I haven't gotten onto that one yet. I'm not trying to overload my plate, but hopefully this has not been too rambly for everybody, because like I said, it's something I'm trying to, was a freestyle stream, more of just getting it comfortable with it, getting used to this type of streaming, and using a different platform to stream on multiple channels, which, let me do a quick check. I'm not sure if I'm on YouTube or not. I should be. Where'd it go? Sorry, just a quick check. It looks like I'm on. Okay. Anyway. If you have watched this through all of my nonsense, great. Hit the like button. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If you are enjoying any of the videos you've seen so far, please hop over and hit that subscribe button. I'm really trying to build up a platform, and if you have any suggestions about things to do different, things to improve, things to add in, I'm all ears. Even in any discussions of maybe it's not the best way to do it, as long as we can be respectful, I'm totally cool with that. I would rather be politely corrected than harshly go after me, because if you harshly go after me and you're really rude about it, I'm probably going to do more of that, just because I have that personality. So I hope you guys have a great week. Tomorrow there will be a video dropping because I have a prior commitment, and it will be a full moon discussion about what the December full moon is, and then there is going to be a angel card reading at the end of it. Just lost the name of the cards I was using. So if you want to check that out, that's great. That'll be tomorrow. That's for my video for the 7th. And then I'll probably do a live stream Thursday night as well, and then Friday, Saturday, and probably Sunday are going to be video drops because I have another art show that I'm going to. So if, like I said, if you're out and about and you're looking for that one unique gift, instead of giving to the big box stores or to that one particular website that got really popular there for a while, go to your local farmers markets and artist markets and just check them out and see what they've got going on, because like I said, you'll be surprised the unique, interesting, and fun stuff that you're going to find when you go there. So with that being said, I will not drag this out any longer. And thank you guys for checking out the channel. And if you, like I said, if you have any comments or questions, drop them in the comment section below, and I will talk to you on the next video.